So this is interesting here. Um, this video, let me get out of here. Okay, I wanted to make a comment about this video, but my system is I use my laptop to my computer or to my TV to watch, but I don't want to comment in that because I'm laying in a hammock and then I got to reach to the side to type because I don't got a lap board or anything like that. So my system is I do all my commenting and posting through my phones or I have more than one phone or my tablet. Um, so I see this and I just posted yesterday something from the guy that's being right here, Corey Gill Schuster, and the listening ask project yesterday because this guy's in Israel and he does questionnaires where he'll ask. I mean, the one I put yesterday was he asked Jewish people, and he does different sex. Sometimes he does mixed, but sometimes he does demographic specific and from Israel, so Palestinian or Jewish. And yesterday, the one that I saw was, and he's been doing it for years, and I found value in his work for the years. And over the course of the time that I've seen his videos, you understand, yes, he is Jewish. So this is where I say it's important that psychology, I don't want to get out of this because it's going to close down anyways. Oh, I might as well go like this. So it's 5:30 in the morning, if it helps. No coffee. Good night sleep. Sleep matters, motherfuckers. So, oh, this is why psychology is important. This is why Jung's form of psychology is important. And this is why monotheism is so destructive. Okay? So the person that made this video, let me go back, has been on a kick to expose. Now I'm gonna actually, I got the screen recording. So that's why I have it like this. I hate when my phone, this phone always does that. It resets every time I'm on YouTube, it resets completely. But anyways, so I was looking for that video here because I want to do here it is right here. All right, sheesh. I'm telling you, I was scrolled through this guy's whole thing right now and the video wasn't there. So I was like, what the hell? But it was posted 19 hours ago. So anyways, this defeats the purpose of me having to do this because I was going to say that possibly Bad Empanada Live came to a consideration that he might be going too far because like this one I agree with, and he's wow, this was okay. This is all right. Anyways, so he's on a kick. I don't get him this time. He's on a kick right now doing this kind of stuff, which I'm cool with, exposing Zionists. The kicker is with this guy. Oh, let me just go over here to my notes because that's where I got to get into this stuff. Actually, this might be it right here. So yeah. So this is why monotheism is so dangerous. So I'm working on this. I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm just rewording it essentially because this is old shit. I stole all this from history, people. This is old. It's just that like a con man, what does a con man do? Look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here. That's it. There's nothing other than that. Okay? If you get that, if you understand and at the most complex, I mean, we're in 3D, right? So look over here, don't look over there, doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a triangulated point in the equation. I guess what do they say? Assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. Okay, so you got different levels of con man, but essentially it's deflection. That's the gist of it. So in that overarching narrative that Trump is not the ultimate con man, he's a product of the system created by con men. And he's just like a little boy trying to gain the approval of the people that to him are role models by emulating them and trying to show that he's learned from them, like in a mafia sense, adequately, if not, above average. So in this con man system, what is the premise of the entire con? The premise of the entire con. The premise of the entire con is, in my opinion, monotheism. Monotheism is about, here we go. Okay, so this is from okay, so exciting, but back to the curriculum, lest I deviate too far. How could we suggest monotheism impacts individuation? That's from Carl Jung's school of thought, so to speak. But it's not really, because Carl Jung is like me, he just rebranded stuff. If you understand Carl Jung's process of individuation mixed with I mean, it's not Joseph Campbell's either. He's just revealing the information, but I just say it because he gives it to you. Joseph Campbell concept of the shamanism. The shamanistic crisis, when properly fostered, yields an adult not only of superior intelligence and refinement, but also greater physical stamina and vitality of spirit than is normal to members of his group. The crisis, consequently, has the value of a superior threshold initiation. Superior in the first place because the shift of reference of the psychologically potent symbols has been not from the family to the tribe, but from the family to the universe. The energies of the psyche summoned into play by such an immediately recognized magnification of the field of life are of greater force than those released and directed by the group-orientated, group-contrived frame of mind. So what do I need to do to fit in versus what part do I play in existence? Something along that. I'm not the smartest person. I'm just trying to whittle it down as best I can. And if you don't have a university education level, maybe my dumbed down version can be a stepping stone for you coming up with more advanced interpretations, or it's not even interpretations, I guess it is interpretation. Comprehension, interpretation, what's the difference? I don't know, figure it out. Okay, so anyways, so that's Jung basically founded individuation by dissecting shamanism and finding out what the hell is actually happening in that entire process, and then trying to recreate it. I'm not necessarily he did this consciously, but this is what I see that he did. Again, I don't have an education whatsoever. High school, 2 semesters. So how could we suggest monotheism impacts individuation? Excellent point. Let's refocus on monotheism and its potential impact on Jung's process of individuation, which I just showed you could be how they destroyed that shamanistic thing. That's to say that it's perfect, that they knew everything. You guys are dealing, that's ego right there. They're just, and that goes with monotheism. And that goes with what I'm saying with this guy designating Corey Gil Schuster as a Zionist propagandist, based on all of the work that I've seen, is a monotheistic application of black and white interpretations. I do identify, and Corey Gil Schuster will fall into this thing that all Jews are fucked up people psychologically. But I don't think that means you gotta understand, for them to be fucked up psychologically, they have to be human. If that make you get this, there's an underlying human foundation at the root of every Jew. My premise is that through coordinated, sophisticated, applied physical trauma to human infants within the care of quote unquote Jewish adults, what ends up happening is the psychological turmoil creates the Jew from the human. And then from there, you have varying degrees. You can say, now from their standpoint, the rabbi is the height of their shit. But in my interpretation, that's the lowest of the low. The most damaged and disgusting, vile product that Judaism shits out is a rabbi. Actually, a woman rabbi is the lowest of the low of all of the frickin' lows. Okay? And then a male rabbi. So, and on that note, now on the other, what I would say the lowest level Jew, and I think Jews would actually, a lot of Jews would agree with me on this, okay? The lowest level Jew is like this guy right here. Obviously. Shit. This guy right here. Why does it keep popping up? This guy is considered one of the lowest Jews. Finkelstein. Here.
You were accused of being a, quote, self-eating Jew. What's your response to that quite common yet very serious accusation?
Well, my response is a completely rational one. Let's say it's true, for argument's sake, and I'm a self-hating Jew. What does that have to do with the facts? I mean, if Einstein was a self-hating Jew, for argument's sake, I mean, E does not equal MC squared.
Actually,
what do the facts have to...
Just to say, I don't believe E equals MC squared. I've discussed this with ChatGPT too. And I found out some very interesting things. C squared doesn't even exist. It's just that. Anyways. So, okay. So this guy is the lowest of the low Jews. And in my psychological, you could say too, that he's the lowest, which means in my take, he's the closer to a human than other Jews. Now, another one that you're less likely to know about. This is the supreme, most hated Jew in all of Judaism ever, in the history of all Jews. This guy right here is it. He is the lowest of the low of the low of the low of the low. He is so low that Jews, like they're called Finkelstein, a self-hated Jew, but they won't even mention this guy's name. Okay. But this doesn't mean that he's perfect either, because my premise again is it's not genetic, it's physical trauma. Okay. And if it's physical trauma from a Jungian standpoint, it's, what does he say? Beyond, what the heck is this? Beyond acceptance. Jung says beyond acceptance is healing. Okay, that's step number one. So one thing I have to recognize with the Jews that I identify, another one too, that is wonderful. I learned from this guy a lot. I've read one of his books. I've listened to hours and hours of his lectures. I still listen to him. He literally helped change my life again in 2023. When I was coming off of a very stressful job that had a very catastrophic failure, that I had a lot of hopes in, and I really saw a lot of potential in it, and then it just all obliterated. And I came out of it, what I felt was like on top, And I decided, part of my celebration, I was going to use my winnings, so to speak, when I came out of, because I was only there for, I've only pretty much been a minimum wage worker my entire life. So I came out of this job after 3 months with making just about $15,000. And that's probably the most I've ever made personally in 3 months. It blew my mind. And at the time, my bills lined up where I could do 6 to 8 months without having to work and live off of that money before I needed to look for work. So I started doing that. But in my mindset, I was thinking, oh, well, you know what? Since is a victory lap kind of, well, I might as well celebrate by drinking. And I got into alcohol consumption. And so from December, that's fucking hilarious. My last 2 jobs, oh my gosh, I just made that realization right now, because I didn't get fired from this current job. I'm still technically hired, but they stopped scheduling me Christmas after. Well, it was December 22nd, but my days off were Monday, Tuesday, and Christmas was Wednesday, so it just happened to be basically essentially Christmas. And this other job, it ended. Christmas was my last day, literally. But anyways, I started drinking, and my plan was to drink every day till March, and then stop drinking, and then start looking for a job around May. So around February, though, I listened to one of these guys' his lecture, and he talked about, trauma. He was talking about trauma. He always talks about trauma. And he was saying, well, let's keep it real. People that drink alcohol don't drink alcohol because it has health benefits. That was it. Blew my freaking mind. I stopped drinking. I did recently buy a 6-pack of Guinness, and I drank 3 one day, not even one night, and then 3 the next day. And it was great to have that disruption of the digestive system. The disruption of the digestive system was, I got a little light buzz, but that was enough to just be like, again, I don't know, whatever game. But now this guy's another awesome one. Here's another one. I learned from this guy. I've listened to probably 100 hours of this guy's lectures. Amazing, okay? So, and frickin' hell, man, this guy right here. Psh, I love this guy. Where's he at? They don't show him. Anyways, but the guy that did this, that sucks that they don't show Stanley Milgram. Poor guy. But anyways, Stanley Milgram is another one too. They're the lowest forms of Jews, which means that they're not accepted by the general Jewish community. So on that take, back to my premise has to do with that where I hold that they're all still fucked up, essentially, not genetically, just psychologically, is that no matter what level of Jew they are, none of them have the capacity to acknowledge the serious nature of circumcision. Okay? So here's a conversation that I had, and this is going to show you ChatGPT too. So if this is ChatGPT, is a reflection of the psychology of the modern day public. So yes, I get it. I'm a nut. I'm crazy. Whatever. I'm over exaggerating, hyperbolic. That's the way they all say it. But they say, oh, they're raping our babies and they're raping our babies and they're putting our women in ovens. I did that on purpose. I did that reverse, and on the spur of the moment because I got a poetic mindset. Okay, I run with mistakes. That's poetry in one sense. But anyways, the whole propaganda that started this current wave of the genocide, going to October 7th, was the Jewish. And they still believe this because you got to understand, they have to maintain belief in their lies because that's the foundation of their religion. That's literally the foundational psychology that holds their religion together. So in that context, every Jew still thinks that it's Gentile propaganda that Hamas didn't rape women and kill babies and put them in ovens. Okay? You have to understand, every Jew looks at Gentiles and sees Gentiles that don't believe that as embodiments of evil. There is no satanic figure in, there's a satanic figure in the Jewish religion, but it has no function. It doesn't have a function like the devil does in Christianity, or I don't even know, or Satan has in Islam either. Okay, and Islam and Christianity are very diverse too. Anyways, but this is the foundation. This is what I mean, but they're all fucked up. Until a Jew can accept this as the root of their impulse to say, I'm Jewish. Because it's not a genetic thing. They're fucked up. On a scale. There's no, that's it. It's fucked up 0.01. And then from there, you're going on increasing variation till you get to the, like I said, the woman rabbi. So, but here you go. Are nerves actually removed during male circumcision? During male circumcision, the primary focus is on removing the foreskin, a fold of skin covering the tip of the penis. The procedure typically does not involve the removal of nerves. Rather, it aims to remove the foreskin tissue. Now, if you have basic reading comprehension skills, you already see what's happening right in this process. There's a deflection response in this. However, the foreskin does contain nerves endings, and its removal can alter the sensitivity of the penis, the impact on sensitivity. Okay, so you see the deflective, and it has to backtrack and backpedal and then come back and okay, we're going to get down here. Okay, and I get into this point. Does removing nerve endings require trauma? The removal of nerve endings as in the context of surgery or now this is a very important one here too. In the removal of nerve endings as in the context of surgery or procedures like circumcision. So what is it doing right there? That's creating distance. Die stance. Die is 2, stance, obviously we get that, points. It's creating 2 points. What's the con man do? Okay, can be associated with the degree of trauma. Trauma in a medical sense refers to any injury or damage to the body. Oh, okay. Surgical procedures inevitably involve some level of trauma as tissues are cut, altered, or removed. During circumcision, the foreskin is removed, and this process involves cutting tissue, including nerve endings. The extent of trauma, now look at what it's doing again. The con man. The extent of trauma can vary. And modern procedures, now this is a ruthless fucking bullshit. The modern procedures aim to minimize discomfort through the use of anesthesia and proper surgical techniques. That's a lie. It is against the Jewish religion to do, I can even show you, there's another thing. Okay, African circumcision band. Booyah.
A projection by Alliance of Mayors and Municipal Leaders on HIV and AIDS in Africa expects that 4 million men should have been circumcised in Uganda by 2014 using different methods. The prepex method is one of those the leaders are promoting.
Yes.
This is a grown
Due
man
to the
getting
pain and high cost, many men dread surgical circumcision methods.
For example, if the surgical method would be taking like 200,000, the device would take like 50,000.
In an effort to encourage more men to circumcise, medical experts are trying out a new circumcision method called prepex here in Mukono district under the Makerere University Walter Reed project. In prepex,
This is all
instead
against
of surgical
Jewish religion.
equipment, all that is needed are just a few kits. This is a P-PEX sizing plate around the foreskin of the penis. And then a rubber band is placed around it to keep it tight.
Of course, we don't put the ring which is very too tight because we know that where we are putting the ring, that element of expansion and increasing in size and reducing may happen. But the ring we fix has adjustments, all with we have caution that there is space.
After 7 days, the kit is removed from the foreskin and the circumcision is complete.
You go with the ring and you come back after 7 days so that we remove the dead skin.
The healing process takes about 6 weeks, but the person has to take precaution.
Even if
Okay, so you get that? So there are methods to alleviate the trauma in infants that are human, that are being initiated into Judaism. Again, it's an initiation right into Judaism through compulsory surgical procedure on infants. Okay? And the key to the process is the trauma induced in the baby. They could alleviate the pain easily. I just showed you. It doesn't, there's no, and if God is so sophisticated and all-knowing, why didn't he know this technique back in the day? And again, what that guy was saying, he laughed. When he laughed, he was saying, we don't put the band too tight because, you want to know why? So we'll go right here. What part of the male anatomy contains the most dense nerves? The most densely innervated part of the male genitalia is the frenulum, a band of tissue on the underside of the penis near the head. Glands, not glands. The frenulum contains a concentration of nerve endings contributing to sexual sensation. It's worth noting that the individual sensitivity, keeps going down to minimize. Again, that's a very important point. I love ChatGPT. It's been improved a lot. This was a year ago. And over that year, it's made a lot of advances. Is this area affected by circumcision rituals? Yes, the frenulum is often affected by circumcision as it is part of the foreskin that is typically removed during the procedure. So when the guy in the video laughs, that we don't put the band too tight, he's saying because that right there, that's why they don't do it, because that's the most sensitive part of the penis and it's going to hurt and they don't want to scare the patients off. So why are Jewish infants subjected to circumcision and it's not Jewish men as a rite of passage during their bar mitzvah? I'll tell you this much, it's not courage, it's not bravery, and it's not love for the baby. It's egoism. It's greediness. It's narcissistic personality abusive disorder, which is de facto Judaism. And the proof that all of them, even Corey, Gil, Schuster, and all the good guys that I showed you, are still varying degrees of narcissistic personality abusers, is that they all deny the root of the problem is infant genital mutilation. So technically circumcision is amputation of nerve endings in the final medical analysis. In the context of circumcision, it involves the removal of the foreskin, which does contain nerve endings. Therefore, technically, circumcision can be viewed as a procedure that results in the removal of some nerve endings. The extent of the impact on the sensitivity and sexual function is a topic of ongoing debate and research. Again, this is the men saying, look at me, what's wrong with me? I'm a good person. That's like more like a fake Italian. What? I'm a good person. Do I look like a monster? What? You think you think this turns me into some kind of a demon or something like that? I've got a successful business. I've got the wife. I've got kids. I did this to my son. The extent of the impact on sensitivity, who gives a fuck about that shit? It's important for individuals and parents to consider medical information, cultural beliefs, and personal preferences. What about human rights? Okay. I'm going to show you how dangerous this fucking shit can get. Is it amputating nerve endings? Yes or no? Yes, the process of circumcision involves the removal of tissue, including nerve endings, specifically from the foreskin of the penis. Booyah. Get to the point. All right. So, monotheism. So here's my thing. I came up with this omnitheism. Now, in the sense of human thought, I put the two words together and I researched it here with on my own, but that's not to say I'm the first person to ever combine these two words. This is, it's a brain fart, okay? Maybe I'm the first person to go this deep into analyzing the word and constructing a sense of meaning, but I'm not the first person to ever say it or spell it by definition of reality, okay? So anyways, let's discuss the concept or just the word omnitheism versus monotheism as well as polytheism, but just start with the contrast with monotheism for organizational sake, please. Certainly, let's start by contrasting omnitheism with monotheism. Monotheism posits a belief in one singular all-encompassing deity. This deity is typically viewed as transcendent, omnipotent, omniscient, the ultimate source of creation of morality, blah, 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 blah. Omnitheism, by contrast, can be seen as an integrative and inclusive framework rather than focusing on one exclusive deity. It embraces the possibility that all deities, beliefs, and spiritual concepts are interconnected manifestations of a singular universal divine reality, not being, reality. Very important too. Personification is a distraction. That's ego. You understand? Actually, I just did that right now. Personification is egoism. You're trying to create your reflection in the mirror. Or something like that. This view emphasizes, it's like a really fat person who puts on like these really disgustingly morbidly obese ladies that put on a quote unquote cute dress and look in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, that looks so cute, right? That's a form of egoism. This view emphasizes diversity within unity, suggesting that every God, spirit, and sacred principle reflects some aspect of an infinite divine. All right, so that's good enough right there. I want to get into monotheism and individuation. Okay, so exciting, but back to the curriculum, lest I deviate too far. How can we suggest monotheism impacts individuation? Excellent point. Monotheism and individuation, the connection. Monotheism's core emphasis on a singular transcendent deity aligns with the aspect of individuation, but may also create certain psychological tensions. Here, how it intersects. Emphasis on unity, positive impact. Okay, just for you guys, because this is you guys. So you guys think, how could I go wrong? Again, con man, look over here. Again, this is the core. Monotheism focus on one all-encompassing, and again, saying he's a Zionist shill. He's a human being that is struggling to find what the fuck it means to be human while identifying as Jewish. Corey Gill Schuster. And his quest for an answer takes him to places that most of us will never, ever, ever, ever have the courage to go or have the economic resources to go either. And even if we had the economic resources, we'd probably go as a tourist rather than the way he does. And I mean, he's not a tourist, but he's a journalist in a sense. In reality, he's a journalist. So the singular divine figure can symbolize the aspiration for integration and harmony within the individual. The concept of a unified deity may help individuals focus on a cohesive goal. That's true. That is very true. And that's part of the reason why they use it, aiding their psychological journey towards wholeness. Not necessarily, but, becoming obsessive with fixated with the one type of thing, like your niche. By focusing exclusively on one deity, monotheism might discourage the exploration of the psyche's multiplicity. Ergo, shadow, anima, animus, which is essential for individuation, rejection of plurality. And here we go. So this is what I mean. I don't think bad empanada's a bad person either, but they're just like a Jew. Because their monotheistic application of their observations is black and white. And fundamentally, you could argue that anything that reduces the complexity of life to a redundant, simplified black and white, this or that, Oh, actually, this might even get into that. Holy crap. Does this say this too? Dang, what is it? Oh, I know. Oh, I know what it is. Logic. Is it here? Oh, yeah, here we go. While monotheism often operates on a either or logic, one true God, no others, omnitheism functions as a both and logic. It doesn't dismiss the monotheistic God, but rather situates that God within a larger holistic understanding where many perspectives and representations coexist harmoniously. Harmoniously may be a stretch, but that's fine. I gotta say again, ChatGPT, this is a newer one. And this one right here, ChatGPT has really been doing an amazing job. I've totally. Okay, so and then I gotta get into clergy. I think it's just right here. I'll just put it right. There's something else I wanted to do right here. I just have to do clergy. So this is the older one. I think this is this is the older one. I think it's the older one. Yes, clergy can structure religion in a way that prevents. Oh no, this is a different one. Okay. Yes, clergy can structure religion in a way that prevents individuation intentionally or unintentionally. When a religion becomes overly institutionalized, rigid, or dogmatic, it often prioritizes collective conformity, obedience, and adherence to the established norms over personal spiritual growth and psychological integration. This can stifle the individuation process. Again, that shamanistic thing. This is the con man, which requires freedom of thought, exploration, and inner self discovery, and honesty. So if you can't honestly say that the act of circumcision done to me as an infant was a heinous crime against humanity, then you're not being honest. Oh. Actually, I like this one better. Is it normal for clergy to justify abuse by externalizing it as divine source to deflect its true nature as a purely psychological factor? And how does such behavior patterns relate to narcissistic personality disorder? Yes, it is unfortunately common in abusive religious systems to justify harmful behavior by externalizing it as stemming from a divine source. This psychological deflection shifts responsibility away from the perpetrator, ergo clergy, masking the abuse as a higher moral or spiritual necessity. Such behavior is a way for clergy to avoid accountability, manipulate others, and maintain power. When analyzed closely, this pattern aligns with traits often associated with narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic tendencies. How this works: externalization as divine will. By clergy claiming that abuse is commanded or sanctioned by a divine source, perpetrators obscure its true psychological and personal nature. Personal nature. You gotta understand. If beyond acceptance is healing, what's on the other side? If on one side is healing, and that's acceptance, and we're talking about a trauma, so acceptance, one side is acceptance, the other side is denial. One side is healing, the other side is possibly perpetuation. Maybe. Replication. So, okay, this allows them to portray themselves as instruments of a higher power rather than as autonomous agents making harmful choices, okay? They project their decision-making faculties outwards, because in one sense they really don't have the power to not do it, because if they don't do it, then they're denying they're denying everything that they use, the systems that they've created to repress the trauma. And the last thing they want to do is accept it. Moral superiority. Okay, which is the externalization of divine will, moral superiority and immunity to criticism. Abusers will invoke divine authority, position themselves above reproach. That's a rabbi. Manipulation and gaslighting. Victims are often led. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Victims are often led to. Dude, I just watched this the other day. This show is terrible in the sense that if you want to really get into understand Jewish people, this show right here. If you get fucking Judaism, you want to get Judaism and the way it actually works, watch Arrested Development. And with the title in itself is.
This is Michael Bluth. For 10 years, he's worked for his father's company, waiting to be made a partner. And right.
Okay. Give him a hell of a show, champ.
Oh wait, maybe it's 2.
What are you doing?
Stocking up on those get out of jail free cards.
Oh, good one, Michael. Very good.
Now the story of a wealthy family.
You stay on top of her, buddy. Do not be.
This show gets deep.
And they want to come by your apartment today to see if you.
Yes, no, I did not book this one. I think I made.
Finds out.
You might want to let that fire go out.
Michael realized he had done to his son what his
Darn.
son had done to him. So he came up with a solution.
I can't think of which one it is. No, it's got to be this one. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll go like this. Go in here. Go here.
This is Michael Bluth. For 10 years, he's worked for
Arrested.
his father's company, waiting to be made a partner. And right now,
Development.
he's happy. This is Michael's mother.
Look what they've done, Michael.
She isn't happy.
Look what the.
It's funny, I still don't know how to spell circumcision.
You can't just calm that out and reset it.
Ah, here.
Amazing fundraiser for who?
Who?
My anti-circumcision movement. I think it looks frightening when it's cut off. It's a Doberman. Let it have its ears. Believe it or not, we brought in over $40,000.
This is mockery.
Sounds like you saved enough skin to make 10 new boys.
Well,
Okay? That is manipulation and gaslighting. Victims are often led to believe that their suffering is divinely ordained, necessary. And now you understand, this is the complexity of infant genital mutilation that I acknowledge that Jews have to deny in order to maintain their shit. The baby's not the only one that suffers. Get it? I don't deny that and this is why actually this goes with the clip that I came with yesterday for the Corey Gill Schuster. Oh, my bad. Did I take a video of that? No. What the hell is this? Oh, I never seen it like that. What the hell? I made a clip yesterday. All right, next. Oh damn, that's crazy. This is missing. I'm glad I did this video. If I don't find this, wow. That's all from today. Oh, here it is.
There is no such thing as Palestinians. They're Arabs who have many countries to flee to and nobody wants them
Again,
to.
the baby's not the only
But
one that's hurt.
if we do call them Palestinians, their parents use them as human shields to gain sympathy. The natural instinct of a Jewish mother is to protect her child. Palestinian women do not have that. And Palestinians, there is no such thing as Palestinians.
I thought this was YouTube. Shit, that was
They're Arabs.
Where's the little? Here we go.
To gain sympathy. The natural instinct of a Jewish mother is to protect her child. Palestinian women do not have that.
Oh, what the heck? I wanted the notes. All right, so infant, that is another byproduct of infant genital mutilation. Okay, and this is gaslighting. I just showed you because I can show you more too. Actually, this is oh shit! I got to show you the real worth. Anti-circumcision groups. Okay. Bloodstained men. I don't know if that's one. Intact. America. Stop genital cutting. Free service. I don't know who these groups are. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's new to me because I was circumcised when I was a baby. Because you got to understand, Jews, in order to justify their criminality, they manipulated the American medical industry and formulated circumcision as a, like you saw what's going on in Africa, as a medical necessity for hygiene. And implemented compulsory non-religious circumcision. Doctors opposing. Okay, so I don't know. It's hard to find. There's Jewish moms. Oh, here we go. So there are such things, okay? Goal aims to normalize the decision not to circumcise Jewish boys and to make synagogues more welcome to non-circumcising families, okay? That's a struggle within Judaism. Now, you want to see how serious this struggle can get? Because again, this is a human right thing. These are children that are not giving their consent to a surgical procedure that's amputating a part of their body that they can never get back. You know, you could put a prosthetic, if the procedure was to cut off their hand in today's modern technology, you know, you can give them a bionic hand that's probably allows them a lot more capabilities than their other hand, and put that as a selling point. But what they're doing, what they're amputating, you could take out somebody's eyes, and then today you can almost replace eyes with frickin' computer systems. Okay, but no matter what, you can never restore what they take. It's a lifelong commitment that an infant does not give their consent to participate in. So, and to show you how fucking crazy, dangerous this topic is, Hadrian's ban on circumcision around 130 CE was part of a broader set of policies that contributed to tensions between the Roman Empire and the Jewish population, ultimately leading to the Bar Kokhba revolt, 132 to 136 CE. The reasons for this ban were both political and cultural and religious conflict. Circumcision was a central religious practice for Jews, seen as a covenant between the Jewish people and God, as outlined by the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 17, 10 through 14. It was a crucial aspect. You got to understand, this is literally the ideology within Judaism. If you do not bleed, if blood is not shed, there is no covenant. Without the shedding of blood, there is no covenant. If you are not bled, you are not accepted. It's not just the cutting. That's why they won't implement that African system. Because what does that African system do? When it kills the skin and they cut it off, they eliminate the bleeding. And without the shedding of blood, there is no covenant. And even though that African system alleviates the pain too, and minimizes the trauma, I mean, it still takes off parts of the skin. I don't know if it focuses on the frenulum. It might even have a whole different. I'm not, obviously, I showed you I don't have an education, but it could be a different focal point too. The Jewish method is targeting the frenulum, okay? So Hadrian's decision to ban circumcision was part of a broader set of policies that restricted Jewish religious practices. These policies were seen as an effort to assimilate Jews into the broader Roman and Greco-Roman culture, which did not practice circumcision. Roman authorities often viewed Jewish customs, including circumcision, as foreign and peculiar. They were already tensions between Roman imperial norms and the religious practices. So, like I said, so this is 130s, okay? In just in 70, the year 69 AD is when Vespasian and his son, it's not Domitian or something like that, were dealt with the Jewish revolt back then. And when it got so bad, the Jews fortified themselves into their, because, man, it's so stupid. Here we go. Look at this. So the Jews today, they say the second temple. What do they say? The Mount, okay? Oh, it's all sacred. It's all sacred. It's all sacred. The second temple was built by the Jewish people, but its construction involved Jewish leadership and outside support, particularly during the reign of Herod the Great, who significantly renovated and expanded it. Here's a more detailed breakdown of the construction and its leadership. Initial construction, 516. After the Babylonian exile, Jewish leaders were authorized to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem by the Persian Emperor Cyrus the Great, and he's the only Gentile celebrated in the Bible. That's a footnote, okay? And this is why when Trump sent the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, which Biden never remedied, Jews in Israel started calling Trump Cyrus the Great of modern times. The rebuilding began around 516 and was completed under the leadership of Zerubbabel, a Jewish governor, and the high priest Joshua. The Persian Empire gave official support for reconstruction, and the Jews oversaw and performed the actual construction. The work was carried out by Jewish laborers, but they likely received assistance from local non-Jews in the region, as it was a large complex. Okay, so that's a very important detail to see. Nothing about what the Jews call their temple is sacred in the sense that God did it for them or they did it alone. They never, ever, 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 ever did it without the support and cooperation of Gentiles. And they took that support and that cooperation and they twisted it around in their sick minds and said, you guys only hindered us. And if it wasn't for us, we wouldn't have it. Okay. And you got to understand, this is what they leave out here too, is that it was Cyrus the Great idea to rebuild the temple for the Jews in order to help us remedy what he saw the injustices that they were subjected to in their captivity. Okay. So, renovation and expansion, Herod's project 20 to 19 BCE. The second temple in its original form was rather modest compared to the grandeur of the first temple built by King Solomon. However, which never existed. That's just a theoretical story. That's like Atlantis. However, in 2019 BCE, or the Tower of Babel, King Herod the Great began a massive renovation and expansion of the temple to make it more magnificent, both as a religious center and as a political statement for his rule. Well, look at me, look how great I am. Okay, Herod, but Herod was Jewish for whatever sake. Herod was a client king of the Romans, oversaw the production. Although a Jewish ruler, Herod's rule was heavily influenced by Roman power, and he was not above using Gentile non-Jewish resources for such projects. Roman funding and support. Much of the construction costs for the temple expansion came from Herod's own wealth, which was largely derived from his dealings with the Roman Empire. He may have also used Roman engineering expertise, as the Romans were renowned for their archaeological prowess. Jewish priests and workers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Design and architecture. The design of the second temple and Herod's expansion, following the basic plan of the original temple, but it was much larger and more opulent. The building itself was a rectangular structure with an inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, and an outer area for sacrifices and worship. Herod's expansion added a grand colonnade and a huge platform that would later become called the Temple Mount. So it's not even part of the temple. But they're willing to fucking do genocide and use it as a justification knowing this. They know this. And so when Herod bans circumcision, what's the response? Now, obviously they said there were more. He was going to build a temple in, maybe this explains it right here. He was going to build a temple in Jerusalem for Zeus next to Herod's temple. Again, they want to call it the Jewish temple, but I just showed you it's Herod's temple. And Jews don't celebrate Herod as a hero. They celebrate Cyrus the Great, but they see Herod as one of the sellouts. So, the Bar Chopa revolt was primarily a war of attrition, though there are indications that the Jewish rebels may have taken prisoners during the campaigns. Here's an analysis of their tactics and approach to warfare. War of attrition, guerrilla tactics. The Jewish rebels relied heavily on guerrilla warfare to resist the better equipped Roman legions. They would ambush Roman forces, disrupt supply lines, and retreat to well-fortified positions or a network of cave hideouts that they had prepared. Fortifications. The rebels built and fortified strongholds such as Betar and used underground systems, including tunnels and caves, to evade Roman attacks and continue resistance even when surrounded, exhausting the Romans. The primary goal of the rebel was to make the occupation of Judea costly and unsustainable for the Romans. Their aim was to inflict as much damage as possible while avoiding direct confrontation with the Romans. Now, what do they mean damage? Damage. Do they mean structural damage only? This is what I'm trying to tell you. Circumcision ain't no fucking joke. And this is why even the good Jews can't face it. Taking prisoners. Limited evidence of prisoners. There is little direct evidence that the rebels systematically took prisoners. However, given the scale of the revolt and the targeting of Roman garrisons, it's possible that some Roman soldiers and local collaborators were captured during the battles. This is non-Jewish communities. In some cases, the Jewish rebels attacked Hellenized cities and non-Jewish communities that were loyal to Rome. Loyal to Rome mean what? Pay taxes? You were taxed by Rome. You're loyal to Rome. You submitted to the power elite that when you rebelled against them, they fucking came in and smashed you, and so you stopped rebelling against them. That's what, see how they twisted? Because they were doing the same thing for hundreds of years. For at least 100 years, because since they conformed to it. They might have taken hostages or prisoners in these situations, though details are scarce. So you have to understand, what Jews did was they used the threat of the abolishing of circumcision as a justification to go out and slaughter indiscriminately every man, woman, and child that's a Gentile that they came across. And they don't want to get into numbers here, but I have heard people say that they killed over 1 million people before the Roman response was Hadrian was able to muster an adequate response that came in and effectively killed 5 Jews for every Gentile that was killed. And then everybody that was a survivor, every surviving Jew was deported out of the fucking region. Jews call that anti-Semitism. Not a war of conquest. Unlike wars aimed at territorial conquest or expansion, the Bar Kokhba revolt was a fight for independence and religious freedom. It was religious exclusivity. If it was for religious freedom, they wouldn't go slaughter the other victims of Roman oppression. They'd say, hey guys, you want to join us so that you could have your religious freedom? No, they didn't want them there. They killed everybody. Because they figured if Rome didn't have a population to tax, Rome wouldn't have a reason to come back. Put it like that. That's what you call Jewish pragmatism. Harsh reprisals. The Romans were known for their brutal suppression of revolts. If rebels captured Roman soldiers or collaborators, it is likely the Romans would have responded with even harsher measures. This could explain why the focus remained on guerrilla. So they're saying, you know, if you had hostages, the Romans would come down to save their hostages with even more crazy fervor than you could even imagine. So it was better to just kill everybody and then move on. And again, this is all to protect the right of infant genital mutilation. And I think with that, I'm done.